Chapter 11. German War Veterans Coming Home. Slowly, some war veterans trickled in. About 3 million German POWs were taken in World War II. The Soviets apparently had kept about 1.5 million German prisoners in labor camps after the war was over, from 1945 through 1956. They were the longest held prisoners from any victor nation, and post-war time to be employed in forced labor and later reconstruction in the Soviet Union. They were not treated kindly, but suffered daily brutal assault. Because of the insufficient calorie intake, they were starved to death, a disease called dystrophy. Rüdiger Obermann, a German historian, confirmed the death of 363,000 German POWs, but 700,000 are listed missing. It is therefore quite possible that these also died in those camps. The ones that were sent to Siberia, not having the warm clothing required there, have starved and froze to death. Of course, who would not hate the Germans, as far more Russians were killed by the German forces than Germans were by the Russians. When Uncle Eric was finally released from a Russian prison camp, he arrived at our train station, looking emaciated with deep sunken eyes. I remember the big growth sticking out from his cheek, requiring medical attention. Whenever he heard his name, his head would jerk around as if in a panic. He must have had lots of post-traumatic issues. But he was one of the lucky ones, making it home. Soon our landlord Werner returned from war as well. We did not know where he had been stationed. He obviously was appalled at Maria's appearance. That created a big problem. He turned his eye on Mama and after a short while asked her to run away with him. Of course, she would not do such a thing, having a child and a mother to take care of. She told him that he was out of his mind, but everyone had to learn to be tolerant with one another, as there was nowhere else to go. Accommodations were impossible to find due to the influx of all the Germans that had been expelled from the eastern countries. Our landlord Werner became more and more irritated. The first thing he did was buy a few chickens to let them loose in the backyard. In no time, the happy cluckers had scratched up and destroyed our little vegetable patch. After all, it was his property. Actually, Maria's. It was her father's house. He still was living in a bedroom on the main floor when I was in grade 1. They called him Ainley, little ancestor. In first grade, we had little blackboards on which we did our homework with crayons. I remember to write in nice equal-sized letters, Eile, 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 till the whole blackboard was filled. I wrote it the way we pronounced it in our slang. Then I scampered down and proudly showed it to him. He was a pleasant old man, and I liked him. Back to our landlord. Our living quarters were such, as you came up the stairs, the living room and bedroom were to the left, the kitchen and toilet, not a bathroom, to the right. The room in the middle led up to the attic. This was also Oma's bedroom. One night, when we were all in bed already, Werner tried to open Oma's door. At night, she kept it locked. He was furious and came back up with an axe, smashing the door open. He had excused that there was something in the attic he wanted. We started living in fear. Soon Werner would no longer allow us to use the backyard. No more rabbits. One day, as Mama came down the stairs, he was waiting at the bottom and threw a foot-high ornamental vase up her way. Her legs started bleeding profusely. She went to court, but then dropped the charges as she feared his temper and no way out to escape. Mama went to the mayor in town, pleading with him to find us another place to live. But with a severe housing shortage at that time, there was nothing available. I also was not allowed to put my bicycle into the basement in the winter anymore, and then not even in the backyard in summer. Nobody left such precious commodities as bikes lying around outside to rust. But Bertha, the friendly neighbor, always calling down from her window when we were little noisemakers, felt sorry for our demise and let me put it into her shed. My bicycle was important to me as it was my transportation to wherever I went. One day as a teenager, when I was in a fidgety mood, I cycled 100-kilometer round trip to Rothenburg, a beautiful medieval city with lots of Tudor-style houses and cobblestone streets. On the return trip, I suffered a strong headwind that tired me out to an extent that I had to rest by the wayside several times. But whatever had bothered me, I had physically worked it out of my system.